Hey guys, what's up? Public here back with another video, and today I want to give kind of a breakdown of Mind's Eye versus Destroyed Reality Mythic Plus, what that talent choice actually means, and when you might want to take each option and what those use cases might be. Let's dive in. Alright, so let's first talk about what this choice actually is. So if you're not aware, we have two talents in our tree that is a choice node that changes how we use Devouring Plague. So the first one is Mind's Eye, which simply says reduces the insanity cost of Devouring Plague by 5, making it only cost 45 insanity. The other choice is Destroyed Reality, which on the other hand increases the damage done at Devouring Plague by 20% and causes it to deal its damage over 12 seconds instead, but increases the insanity cost by 5, making it a 55 insanity cost spender. So quite a bit of difference here. The main thing is Mind's Eye is you're casting more Devouring Plagues, but they're not lasting as long. Or Destroyed Reality is you're casting fewer Devouring Plagues, but they're lasting much longer. And this can actually dictate some playstyle changes, especially with all of the other things that we have in our tree. So what I'm going to talk about in this video is why you would want to take one versus the other. So let's start with the most popular choice, which is Mind's Eye. So the reason why Mind's Eye is so popular is because it plays very simply in AoE, where you're simply just picking the highest health target and you're funneling your Devouring Plagues into that highest health target to get as much priority target and overall damage as you can with Mind's Eye. That's simply just because you can't really afford to do anything else because the dot is so short. You're not getting a whole lot of value out of spreading it in that case. So when you play Mind's Eye, you're only funneling it onto the priority target, and that's how you play the spec. Now with that, you get increased interactions with all the other things that happen when we cast more Devouring Plagues, namely things like Screams of the Void and our tier set, which are both on actual casts of Devouring Plague, so they get more interactions with this. They don't actually change at all when you go to Destroyed Reality, which is a really important distinction. And that priority target damage itself is extremely valuable in Mythic Plus, primarily because not everyone that you're doing keys with can make that choice. So while this isn't strictly speaking the best for maximizing overall damage in a theoretical environment, if all of the other DPS in your group can only do like flat AoE damage and no one's doing priority target damage, what that can often end up happening, especially in cases where there's like one giant health enemy that's like a mini boss or something, is you kill everything else and then you're only left with single target for like the last minute or whatever of the pull. And that's super inefficient cleave. So what we get from this is by doing priority target damage within AoE, the goal is to kill everything in the pack at the same exact time, which is very efficient cleave for everyone else in your group, and you're kind of unlocking the whole dungeon to go faster when you're doing that. So this is why Mind's Eye is so preferred over Destroyed Reality in these environments, just because it unlocks that playstyle. And furthermore, Void Form and Void Eruption is also extremely good at this as well, just because of the way the kit works. You get access to Void Bolt, you're just doing more into that one primary target. Now, if we switch gears over to Destroyed Reality, which is usually the default for Dark Ascension builds, and also just generally does better in terms of overall damage, the reason why it does that is, one, you can actually spread Devouring Plague with Destroyed Reality. Because the dot is lasting so much longer, 12 seconds, even though we're not casting as many of them, you can actually, every time you get enough insanity, tab and select another target, press Devouring Plague on it. You could also use a Mass Over macro if you want. So you're kind of constantly target swapping to spread those Devouring Plagues out and spreading that damage around. The downside here is you're losing that single target priority damage to get more spread out AoE. But the thing to keep in mind, it's not true spread AoE. You're only ever getting that on whatever targets you're spreading Devouring Plague to. In most cases, this is going to be between like 2 to 4 mobs, depending on procs that you're getting of things like Mind Devourer. But while you're doing that, you're getting extra value out of mainly the talent Phantasmal Pathogen, which just says while Devouring Plague is active, apparitions are dealing more damage. So by spreading Devouring Plague, you're scaling your apparition damage on those targets. And notably, the main thing that I don't see a lot of people talk about is, while this is better for overall and it is lower single target priority in a pack, if you can actually play around with this, you're actually upgrading your priority target damage in a way to be multi-target focus. So depending on the dungeon, you might notice, well, there's not like one clear priority target mob. Maybe there's 2, or maybe even there's 3. So instead of thinking about, well, what's just the one big one, with Destroyed Reality, you can kind of say like, oh, these are the 2 biggest mobs in this pack that are the most important or that need to die first. I will just keep Devouring Plague and kind of alternating on both of them like you would on the Council encounter. So that damage pattern, again, can get you more overall damage, and it also gives you that better like priority target if there's multiple priority targets. That can be why it's such a competitive choice, even with something like the Void Eruption build, which does not take this by default. Now, one of the challenges is it does have less synergy with talents like Screams of the Void or the tier set. In particular, this is going to hurt you the most with Void Eruption builds in single target. Distorted Reality just isn't quite as good in that case. But the one benefit here is if you are comfortable spreading Devouring Plague in AoE, you do generally get a more relaxed pace, a single target rotation. Because Devouring Plague is lasting longer, it should be a lot easier to get higher uptime of this, particularly in low target count stuff, like single target. And that's kind of the main choice between these two. Alright, so to recap this choice, generally speaking, I advise people to start with Mind's Eye. I think it's an easier playstyle to pull off inside of AoE, and I think it's just a better damage pattern that we can bring to groups that makes just Shadow Priest a very desirable thing that a lot of people are looking for. So I would start with Mind's Eye and kind of go from there as a starter build, especially with Void Eruption. If you do happen to be playing with the Dark Ascension version, however, I would probably start with Distorted Reality and the Spreading Devouring Plague style. With that build, you can still take Mind's Eye. You're just not getting quite as much damage out of it when you go that kind of priority, like single target priority, and not spreading Devouring Plague with it. But those are kind of the safe defaults for most people, and hopefully this video has given you enough information to help you choose what makes the most sense for your group. I think most people will be happy with Mind's Eye and Void Eruption, but Distorted Reality is there as an option, particularly if you are struggling with things in single target or like the style of spreading Devouring Plague. So that is all we have for this video. Let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.